This is Julio Zamora. Today's Saturday, September 15, 2012. I'm going to try to make a better recording here. I was hired in 2002. I worked 16 hours a day. When I was hired, I was given a handbook that quoted company policy to follow. And in the book, it said follow Department of Transportation to the letter. That's what it says. Follow Department of Transportation. And also the contract, Local 439, a bargaining agreement with Safeway, stated that we will follow Department of Transportation regulations. And we also have a no-fault attendance policy, which is in the company driver's handbook when I was hired. Now, I didn't realize at the time when I got hired that they had 2 time clocks. Okay? And the tractor has an onboard recording device, which was issued by the Department of Transportation, and that we follow under 395.16, 395.15, and the interpretation. When I was hired, I went there and I was following the Department of Transportation, and then on the first day of work, they had me clocking in on a time clock in the driver's room, and I was a little confused about that because I was already on duty when I come to work because I'm under the Department of Transportation for 24 hours a day. I'm on duty, automatic start, automatic computer. He puts in the route and everything is automated. The machine is automated. Automatic start, 10:30 every day, no matter what. He assigns you a truck, he puts in the load, you go to the truck, and you're not on duty into that tractor until you're in that tractor, and then you get a 25-minute free trip. The reason I'm explaining all this is because I've been accused of falsifying documents because I clocked in late. And during the years I have clocked in late or didn't show up to work, whatever, I've gotten a verbal warning, and you need about, I don't know, between 36 and 40 points before you lose your job. Now, you got to really screw up to do that. I mean, to really get up that many points. But it's possible. So anyway, long story short, I come to find out I have to clock in on a time clock. According to seniority, that's the way you should do it. And then when I get in from my trip, I also have to clock out from the time clock. Now, everything I'm doing according to that time clock is against the Department of Transportation regulation. And I couldn't understand that because of the fact that I would run out of my 14 hours and the computer would say, okay, driver, it's time to shut it down. And I'd be in Livermore or Dublin or I'd be in Eureka. One time I ran out of hours. I was at 60 hours. Well, anyway, they picked me up, or I drove a pickup truck back from there after the 14 hours or the 60 hours, wherever. It doesn't matter. Anyway, when I got back to the yard, I clocked out because I was already logged out. I logged out of the tractor, and I'm not to be detained from going home under the regulation, which I'm under 24 hours a day. So I was confused the first few weeks because I was supposed to allowed to go home after I logged out of my tractor, but we have to check in at the guard shack. Then he tells us put the truck away, we log out, and then we're required to clock out in the driver's room and take 10 hours from the clock in the driver's room. I didn't understand that either, but that's company policy. I just follow it. Okay? So I logged out of my tractor and I clock out in the room, and sometimes I was over the 14 hours, as well as when they pick you up, you're in violation. Well, come to find out, it's not being recorded. The miles aren't being recorded, and I'm not getting paid. I don't have a time card from the clocking in on that time clock. Okay, I got an onboard recording device, automated, and it's tamper-proof. Okay, you can't alter the logs or text the logs no matter what. No driver can do that. It's tamper-proof. Okay. So long story short, I realized, I go, holy mackerel, I go, the miles ain't being recorded, I'm not getting paid, and I don't have a time card because they have me clocking in on a time clock, which has nothing to do with the automated recording device in the tractor. So I didn't think nothing about it. I just let it go and follow company policy and DOT regulations. So I was doing two things at once, which was okay with me. That's fine. You know, I was making money and I was doing the loads. I was happy with that. I mean, I have no complaints about it. So all this time, I've been undermining or kind of lying about my logs were telling lies and not telling the whole truth and recording all the information that it's prescribed to do because of the clock in the driver's room. It doesn't tell the onboard recording device what you're doing after you log out of the tractor. It's not being recorded. And the miles aren't being recorded, and you're not getting paid because there's no time card. Okay, so the driver's not getting paid. I haven't been paid in 10 years, and there's no way really to figure it out other than the fact that the driver's lying. 400 truck drivers OTR are lying on their logs because when they're picked up someplace and they're out of hours, okay, and they get into Tracy and they clock out on that time clock. It's not recording the hours, and yet they're going to write down delay, but they're not driving. But they're driving. They're in violation. They're driving more than 11 hours. They drove the pickup truck, company pickup truck back to Tracy. They're in violation. They're still driving, and it's not miles are not being recorded. So I didn't think nothing about it. I just ignored it and did my job. Well, and I know myself for 50 years driving a truck, when you're under Department of Transportation 24 hours a day, you don't want to fool around with them logs because that's your livelihood. So, but anyway, I really didn't have much trouble in 10 years. I was getting safety awards from the company, and the latest one I got, I think, was in 2006 or 7 or 2000. I have one there. I think it was 2008 or 9 maybe. For no accidents and whatever it is. So anyway, I didn't have no problem, and then I got hurt one day. Actually, I was limping, and I was going to go home and soak in the tub, but the dispatcher said, no, it's company policy, you got to go to the doctor, so I did. Blah, 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 and that didn't work out too good, but we're talking about the time clock here. Okay, so that's about the story about the time clock. We got 2 time clocks. It's like double standards. One time clock you don't get paid, and the other one you get paid by the mile. Sometimes you'll get paid delay, but not all the time. And also we're lying on the logs. We are lying occasionally. We're not telling the whole truth, and we're not getting paid. And I haven't been paid for 10 years. So one day, I came in on December 6th. I took a load out December 5th, 2010, and December 6th, 2010, I came in, and I logged out. My logs were perfect. I just made it by 2 minutes logging out of my tractor on the onboard recording device. I just made it, okay? And I had a senior moment, or I didn't have I don't know, whatever it is, I punched late. Because the dispatcher's doing all the talking. He's not convincing me of anything, but he's just doing all the talking because my focus is on the DOT regulation 24 hours a day, okay? And that's what I focus on. I don't want to violate anything in the Department of Transportation because that's my livelihood. So anyway, he said I punched in late. I didn't think about it because I always get a verbal warning, okay? It's a no-fault attendance policy. And anyway, on December 6th, my logs were perfect. Now, this dispatcher, I guess he checks the logs. He turned around and he moved my starting time and the time I came in. And he took the time from the clock in the driver's room, and he changed my time on my logs on the onboard recording device. Automatic onboard recording device, okay? Automatic. Okay, onboard recording device. He takes my time and he changes it, which is against 395.16, I believe it is. Anyway, it's 395.15. He violated the DOT regulation in doing so. He falsified my logs, and it appears to be intentional. But we won't know that until he's on the witness stand, until we get his supervisor on there, the safety manager, Mike Sadler, because he approved it. he approved that that I intended to falsify logs by clocking in late. Now, I don't. I'm just a truck driver. I'm not the supervisor, but he needs to be put on the witness stand and asked what exactly is that time clock for? What does it do? What does it do? I mean, the guy don't have a time card. It's not recording all the miles, and the guy hasn't been paid since 2002. So what's the purpose of the time clock, and why do I have to take 10 hours off from the company time clock when I'm instructed under the Department of Transportation, okay, when I log out of that tractor automatic onboard recording device, I'm instructed to go home, and I'm not to be detained under the regulation 395.15. Now, I just follow company policy. But he needs to put on the witness stand and ask why. Why, if the Department of Transportation and I'm instructed under company policy and the bargain agreement of Local 439 in Stockton, California, the Teamsters bargain agreement, that I'm instructed to follow the Department of Transportation regulation. I'm instructed. That's also in the company policy when I was first hired. Well, that means that you're under the DOT regulation for 24 hours, and you got to do what they say to do. You got to follow the Department of Transportation. If you're a Class 1 driver, you know that already. Okay? And they're running under a 395.15. Okay? So, anyway, my logs were perfect on December 6th. He took the time from the time clock and changed my time. He falsified my logs on December 6th. On December 7th, I came into work. He gave me a trip. I clocked in. I did what I was supposed to do. And then I don't know if he took the load back before he started interrogating me or anything else, because most of the drivers already left. You got to go by seniority. So he's interrogating me, and there's no shop stewards present. Now, he knows that's I have a right to have a shop steward present, according to the Supreme Court decision in 1975, an NLRB board decision. And he denied me that right to have a shop steward present. And he knew it was going to be a disciplinary matter because of December 6, 2010. So here I come in, he's interrogating me, and I have a right to have a shop steward present, so I feel I was denied that right. And he told me after he finished, and I just agreed with him because I'm not going to commit insubordination, not with these guys. No way, I'm keeping my mouth shut because I know what I'm doing. I've been driving a truck for 50 years. I know the regulation. But I'm not about to tell him his job. He's a supervisor. Okay, so I'm going to follow instructions. I don't want to lose my job. So, okay, he interrogated me. He didn't have me as shop steward. And he's coming at me about I intended to falsify documents. And he assumed or he said or he knew that I clocked in at 11:15. Now, I agreed with whatever he said. So whatever he said, I agreed to. So, whatever is written down, I guess that's how it is because I'm not committing insubordination. Okay, so you could say I was coerced. Okay, you could say that because the shop steward wasn't present. And whether he wants to admit it or not about my hearing problem, that's up to him. Okay, but the company was notified in 2008 or 2009 about my severe, profound hearing impairment. Or at least they were informed that I needed hearing aids, that I have a hearing impairment. Okay, so they know I'm hard of hearing. So if he wants to admit it or not, that's upon his shoulders, not mine. And so he told me to sit down after he finished, that the shop steward was on his way. Now, I didn't see him pick up a phone, so I don't know. That's up. He needs to be asked. So long story short, he accused me of falsification because I punched in late. Now, I didn't notice until January 11, 2011, or January 10, 2011, when I had a meeting with Mr. Neiswanger, the first meeting I had with him, when he tried to hand me some documents that were incomplete and didn't tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, regarding to attest to falsified documents or whatever it is. He kept saying, you had 10 hours off, you had 10 hours off. And I kept saying, I know I had 10 hours off. I don't have a problem with that, you know, and I didn't really look at the document. I didn't want to because I read the guy's statement. It wasn't complete. He didn't tell the whole truth. So I wasn't accepting anything he had to offer. In fact, we had a hearing the next day in Tracy Distribution Center in Tracy, California, on January 11, 2011, that was set by James Williams, the transportation manager. And I didn't have any documents when I went to this hearing. I didn't even know what the hell was going on. Okay? I just wasn't accepting anything that wasn't true. And a matter of fact, because they were supposed to prove or present documents, photos, or whatever on December 25th, 2010, and they didn't do it. Okay? And on December 17th, Mike Sadler, the safety manager, filed a grievance. Okay, and he's supposed to file it within 10 days. Well, the letter was dated December 16, 2010, but the union was stamped, received December 17, 2010. And on the left-hand side, he was supposed to send copy to all these people, including myself, registered mail. But no, he faxed it. Now, why he did that, I don't know, because I called Mr. Niswanger on December 16, 2010, and Mr. Niswanger didn't hear a thing from them. He didn't get anything. And I called him before December, too, and nothing was sent in. So I don't know what the heck Mike Sadler was doing, but I know he's a pretty sharp guy. And why he left all the names off on the left-hand side, I mean, he didn't inform anybody that he was filing a grievance. That's my point. Nobody was informed that he filed a grievance on December 16th or December 17th, because that's when it was emailed or faxed, and it was stamped, received, Local 439, Stockton, California. Stamped, Local 439, received. Okay? Now, that's not within 10 days, and they didn't meet Step 1 and Step 2 of the contract. It was null and void, final and binding. If you missed Step 1, it was null and void. If you missed Step 2, it was final and binding. That's how it goes. 1, 2. Okay? He missed 1. It wasn't within 10 days. Okay? He missed 1 by sending me home and not giving me anything in writing. Telling me why he was sending home or this and that, other than I'm looking into it. Whatever the reason, I don't know. You know, the fact is, he sent me home. He violated our offer of work in FMLA, work first, grieve later. They violated Article 2526 and all articles of the bargain agreement with between Safeway and Local 439 Teamsters in Stockton, California. That's the bottom line. Okay? And so we know that. We know that. They were supposed to put me back to work like they do 1,500 other Teamsters. Why they didn't put me back to work and back pay, I don't know. Why didn't they honor the offer of work backed up by a QME report that says I can work and I need medication? Why, I don't know. Why didn't they, the FMLA, why didn't they realize that when they send me home, and I was on FMLA, that they weren't allowed to do that and allowed to take away my medication and stuff. I had no insurance, nothing. They just violated FMLA, flat out. Just go home, didn't let me clock out. Now this guy told me to sit down, the shop steward got there, and then I went in to see my Sadler. We don't need to go there. We don't need to go there, okay? We're talking about the time clock. The guy falsified my logs by taking the time from the time clock and changing the time on the onboard automated recording device, which is tamper-proof. He violated the Department of Transportation, 395.16, 395.15, and the interpretation. And he violated the Supreme Court decision, NLRB, that I have a right to have a shop steward present. And I was coerced. Probably was coerced. I don't know what his statement is, other than I know it wasn't complete. What his testimony is or anything, I'm not concerned, because the shop steward wasn't present. So it's not going to be anything positive. It's all going to be a negative, and I'm going to deny it, and I'm not going to admit to it, even though I did agree with everything he said. I did that because I didn't want to commit insubordination. So you could take his statement and just throw it in the garbage can, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, because he did it intentional, and he knew it was going to be a disciplinary matter. And the shop steward wasn't present, and I have a right to have a shop steward present. And I have a right to work first and grieve later. I was denied. I have a right to the offer of work that was agreed upon on 10/13/2010. All these things happened on December 7, 2010, and I was not allowed to log out. And it doesn't show it that I was even there on December 7, 2010. Now, why that is, I don't know. Now, he said I punched in late on December 6, 11:15 in the morning. I probably did, or I did, whatever. It doesn't matter to me because it's a company time clock. I always get a verbal warning. It's nothing to be concerned about. As I told Mike Sauer, the safety manager, the end doesn't justify the means. I don't think he understood what that meant, but anyway, the shop steward said it was a safety issue. He has no idea how right he really is, because the DOT regulation is set up to save lives, and so that the drivers get proper sleep and rest. Well, that wasn't being followed. It seems to me that I was hired and I was told to follow Department of Transportation according to company policy and the bargaining agreement. Okay, but when I went actually to work and they told me I had to use the time clock and I wasn't allowed to go home after I logged out of my tractor, I knew right away there's something fishy going on. Okay, and I knew right away when they picked me up and I had to log out of that tractor and I had to log out of that company time clock and take 10 hours from that company time clock, there's no way I'm following the Department of Transportation regulation. Because I got an onboard automatic recording device that's got an automatic start at 10:30 every morning, no matter what. And the miles aren't being recorded, and I'm not getting paid. There's no time card. But I'm getting punished behind that time clock in the driver's room. I'm getting disciplined behind the time clock. I don't even get paid. So I don't understand how they can do that, but anyway, they accuse me of falsification. I'm accusing them of defamation of character because everybody's looking at me like I'm a thief and a liar. And we got 1,500 employees there. God only knows what they think. And this is 2012, and they still haven't returned me to work. I've been praying and hoping that somebody in management or corporate will look at this and put me back to work with all back pay and benefits. And I'm sorry they have to pay all that money, but it's not my fault. The dispatcher's working that falsified intentionally my logs from taking the time from the driver's room, the clock, and changing the time on the automatic onboard recording device in my tractor. He changed the time. He's not supposed to do that. It's tamper-proof. It's against the Department of Transportation. He falsified it. I came into work and he comes at me. And here I'm sitting here all since December 7, 2010, waiting for him to call me back to work, and that guy's working. I don't understand it. Somebody's got their wires crossed. So anyway, man, I sound pretty good taking this tape. I got my shit together. I'm getting better. I'm practicing here when I go to court. Yeah, it sounds pretty good to me so far. Anyway, Zamora, everything you said is true, and it sounds pretty good. You're getting it down. Okay, so we know for a fact, beyond a reasonable doubt, that he tampered with my logs and he falsified them. And then he turned around on December 7th and accused me of falsification, and I'm unable to obtain employment. For one, they didn't fulfill the accommodation or an offer of work with a hearing aid, and they have a copy of, or the attorney has a copy of severe profound hearing impairment that was filed, and I seen the doctor. I need to go to Turlock to get those hearing aids so that my license can become valid and I can take a physical with Dr. Yip, who's been my doctor for 20 years. So I need that done. I need to go to Turlock, go take my physical immediately, and go back and get on my Eureka run or 10 or 10:30 start, whatever. I want to go to Eureka, so if I can get that, I'm going to go back on it. Because I didn't have any trouble on that run, other than the fact that when on the way back, I know they didn't like it because they're following me all the time, 24 hours a day, man. I mean, if you go to the toilet, you don't know if somebody's peeking over or looking at you. You know, I don't know. I mean, you know, you don't know. You know, they could be a little funny. You know, you never know, right? You never really know. You know, they're on me 24 hours a day. You know, they're trying. I don't know why. It doesn't matter because I'm not doing anything wrong. I've been married for 20 years. I got two beautiful kids. Two of them in the university and one's in the United States Air Force, and I'm a good father. So all I'm going to say is that we got it down. Okay, he falsified it, defamation of character. Everybody's looking at me like I'm a thief. Okay, I spent all my savings. I'm taking care of myself. And all I can say is, hey, I'm hurting and I need to be put back to work. I have responsibility to my family and my children, and I didn't do anything against Safeway. I did not steal, lie, falsify documents, or anything against Safeway. Me and Safeway go back so far back, you have no idea. You have no idea. I'm 72 years old. We go all the way back to when I was 18 years old, working the waterfront. I was in Local 85. I was Local 665 before I went into Local 85. You know, and I was a gaffer. I was 18 years old. I was a gaffer. I was good at what I did. I was a young kid, and I was doing good. So, you know, I go back with Safeway. I always wanted to work for Safeway. The only thing I didn't like is they always drove 55 miles an hour. Jesus Christ, they were the slowest guys on the road. But they was a good company. So anyway, long story short, I'm getting sidetracked. Okay, we know he falsified the documents. They need to be put me back to work because they didn't respond within 10 days, like they do 1,500 other Teamsters. And they violated workman's comp. They violated the contract, defamation of character. They need to pay me 14 hours a day, anything over 8 hours, a time and a half, because under the contract, anybody that works before you, you get paid for that day. And it's a 24-hour operation, 7 days a week. So 7 days a week, there's somebody working before me, and they shouldn't be. So I should get paid. Well, the reason is that I'm not driving the truck. I'm not getting paid by the mile. I'm getting paid by the hour. So everybody that works 7 days a week before me, I get paid 14 hours a day. And I don't know what I'm going to do about the back. Since 2002, I haven't been paid breaks, lunch, rest periods, second lunch. We filed a class action suit. It's 10 years later. I don't know what happened to it. I never got notified of anything other than we're probably looking into it or something like that. I feel like I'm being stalled. I don't know where the money is, but I haven't gotten paid since 2002, and I don't know. Maybe I have to bring that issue up. Maybe I can get my money with the state or with workman's comp. But I haven't been paid. I haven't paid the difference in miles from the time clock. I haven't been paid from the tractor to the time clock because we don't have no time card. We don't have a time card. We're on duty. We come to work. We're waiting for dispatch. We're still off duty or on duty. You can do it. Doesn't really matter because we have an onboard automated recording device. It's automated. You don't even have to punch it in. As soon as you start rolling out of that yard, that computer will automatically put you on driving. Because it's automated. Everything is automated. That's why I don't understand this guy, you know. He says, oh, you punched in on the company time clock. And I'm going, hey, what's he talking about? That's why I can't talk back to him. He's not listening. You know, he don't want to listen. The guy's all hostile and waving his hands. I got him. Well, fine. Whatever. I'm keeping my mouth shut. That's the wisest thing and the best thing I can do in a situation like that. I mean, he's not allowing me a shop steward. So, you know, they got to put me back to work. My rights have been violated from A to Z. Okay? And on top of that, they didn't pay me for December 7th. Not only did I not get paid from 2002 all the way up, But I didn't even get paid for December 7th, 2010 when they sent me home. So I don't know how he could say I punched in late when they didn't record December 7th. I don't understand that one either, unless they just don't want to pay me. That's always a possibility. I mean, there was a lot of drivers in that room. They know I was there, and I was clocked in, logged in. I was sitting right there, and they asked me, are you going to get paid? And I go, well, I hope so. You know, I should be out doing my load. But no, they have me sitting here waiting for a shop steward. And I sat there for a long time, trust me. I was there at 10:30. I didn't leave until 1:30, maybe 2 in the afternoon. And they owe me a day's pay. They haven't paid me. Okay, we're guaranteed a day's pay. If we come in and we got there 4 hours or better, or 2 or 3 hours or whatever it is, they got to pay us a day's pay or the first 4 hours. I don't know how it goes. I forgot about that. So they didn't pay me from December 7th. They don't even show me there. So there's a problem. They need to put me back to work. And James Williams, the transportation manager, and Mike Savage, the safety manager, knows all this, that they're supposed to return me to work because he didn't file it within 10 days. Step 1, null and void. Step 2, final and binding. And they had 10 days to prove their case. Establish a fact beyond a reasonable doubt that I falsified or I intended to falsify my logs on an automated onboard recording device. I don't know how they figure I can do that. I don't have the key. The supervisory personnel is the only one that has the key that can change the time from the company driver's room time clock to the onboard recording device in the tractor. You got to have a key. So he's guilty beyond a reasonable doubt because that's how it reads on 395.16 and 395.15, which I will present at the hearing. So they need to put me back to work. And they need to pay me all that money. I'm not going to snivel here because I'm basically not a sniveler. But I do cry a little bit once in a while. I'm not a 100% manhood type guy, but I have my moments. So anyway, I'm going to listen to my recording and see how I sound. But I need to be returned to work, okay? And when I do get back to work, if for some reason or another I get back to work before I go to court or hearing anything else, I'm keeping my mouth shut. And I'm saying this on my computer because I'm going to listen to it and remind myself to burn everything. And just keep your mouth shut and be thankful you're back working. For whatever reason, justice is a little slow. Okay? That's what I told my son. It's a little slow sometimes. It takes time for people to get their act together and realize that you're innocent beyond a reasonable doubt. And that, you know what? It's always best to do the right thing. Okay? No need to be apologetic. Okay? That's not necessary. What's necessary is to do the right thing and feel good about doing it so that you can leave everything behind and get on with your life. And that's how I look at it. So I hope to God I don't have to say all this stuff because I'm practicing for a year now. And boy, if you would have heard me in the beginning, Jesus Christ, I sound like some kind of monster movie, But I'm getting better. So anyway, I'm talking to myself. I'm going to hear my tape, and I got to tell myself that I hope I get back to work before it goes to court, because I don't want to say this in court, but I'm forced to do so. And I'm not a man with a big mouth, okay? I mean, I'm going to feel uncomfortable, and I'm going to have a bad taste in my mouth. But I'm being forced to do it, and I need to remind myself that. But if for some reason or another I happen to get back to work and I come back home and I listen to this tape, I want to remind myself what I said. Go out there and get a garbage can and throw all this shit in the garbage and burn it. Don't ever repeat it. Never even think about it. It's over. It's behind you. Burn the document so nobody sees it or hears what I have to say. So, because Safeway is really a good company. I mean, they have their moments, but they don't deserve somebody running their mouth like me, okay? They don't deserve that. They've done a lot of good for people, and I know they have. I can testify to that. But they're strict. They have policies, and you need to follow them. But they do mistake. They do make mistakes, like other people do. Companies make mistakes. We're only human. Okay, there's no such thing as perfect. And I know Safeway very well. They're very strict. You got to follow the rules. And if you don't like it, quit. That's why I didn't quit, because I can follow the rules. I can deal with it. It's not a problem for me. Not a problem for me to keep my mouth shut. Not to mention anything. And when I retire from there, to keep my mouth shut. That's how it is. That's how it should be. So if people don't like working for Safeway and they're going to bitch and moan, and maybe they ought to quit and go find another job. Because if I hear them talking and bitching about them, you'll be damn sure that I might drop a dime on them and with the Safeway supervisor. I'm not a rat, but I want to protect my job too. It's not right for somebody to work for a company and then talk bad about them. They should be thankful they're working. So, of course, there's more to that, but we don't need to go into philosophy, right? Okay, that's it. Too much talking. My wife says I keep repeating myself. So, and 1, 2, 3. There it is. And end the